many four-letter words can I use on that?
Trying to switch to a double. Cheddar is driving. Nothing yet. Takedown, Michael Cheddar.
Oh, Nick, I'm a top guy, so I love top wrestling.
Hale trying to sink him. He does. Maximus Hale the fall.
So I think that wrestling is the greatest sport on earth.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome into On3 Wrestling. I'm your host, Nick Kosko, and Happy New Year. 2025 is upon us. Second semester is just about to start. If it hasn't started already at certain schools. So college wrestling, we know it's in full swing. The holiday tournaments are through in terms of Midlands, Soldier Salute. I know Southern Scuffle's coming up. We'll spend most of today recapping the Midlands Tournament won by Stanford. And the team score, Rutgers finished second. Great showing by UPenn as well. So a lot of individual standouts from Midlands this year. I know it's different than it was in years past, as it has been over the last couple of years, with Soldier Salute being a tournament around at the same time. And of course, Midlands, you have certain teams send their full lineup, others send about half, and others just send a couple guys here and there. But overall, Midlands was very exciting. There were some interesting matchups to take away from. We'll dive into a little bit of a Bo Bassett update if you haven't seen it yet. It was a couple weeks ago, so it was before the holidays, but he is down to his top 9 schools. So we'll briefly touch on that as well and see what he has up in store for the second semester as he rolls through his high school junior season. He has one more official visit to go later this month in January, and then I would imagine the process will, not that it's going to speed up, I would imagine he's going to start eliminating schools again. He's down to his top 9 at this point. So let's start with Midlands. So from the Rutgers point of view, of course, being a broadcaster for Rutgers, I was following them very intently. They had a bunch of placements. Dean Peterson won the 125-pound bracket. Very exciting bracket there. He kind of rolled through the first couple of rounds, had a decision over Mark Anthony McGowan for Princeton, by the way, 125-pounder, who everyone's really excited to see finally out there fully healthy, and maybe he's going to be the guy moving forward for Princeton the second half of the season, to see him in the postseason as well. But he's a very talented kid. Peterson beat him as well, and then he had 3 tech falls out of his 5 wins en route to a title, and then he took out in the finals, he defeated Blake West of Northern Illinois 8-7. So a tight match right there. So again, Dean Peterson, I mentioned before, going into the Midlands tournament, at least from the Rutgers perspective, and maybe for the 125-pound weight class, is you have to look at what he can do when he's healthy. He was banged up earlier in the year, had the concussion, so he was up and down a little bit, but he's been on a tear since he has come back. And again, as I just mentioned, 3 tech falls out of those 5 wins at Midlands. Kind of ran through this bracket, a very big bracket here at Midlands. So that was a big one. The other standout at the lightweights was 133. Now, again, just seeing him up close for the past few years, Dylan Shawver, I figured he would end up being the one to watch out for and win this one. He actually was seated 3rd. Tyler Knox from Stanford, who's had a tremendous start to the season. He was number 1. He ended up beating Shawver in the finals. Ben DeVino, how about that? So Ben DeVino is a true freshman, so I wanted to point him out. So there was no Nick Bouzakis here. That they threw Ben DeVino out there for Ohio State, and they gave him a chance to really showcase what he can do. Again, Bouzakis, I believe he's about 15-2 this year, so he's on a different level than he was last year, it seems like, so far. But DeVino's a guy that you have to really watch out for moving forward, because he's going to be in this lineup sooner rather than later. And I'm not saying this year, but by next year, I'd be stunned if DeVino's not in Ohio State's lineup. So he looked really good, 5-1, 10-2, 7-3, and then he takes on Shawver in that semifinal. And actually, I did want to show, I actually have highlights today. I did want to show this. This was the semifinal of the 133-pound bracket. Now, you see here, this is the tiebreaker period. Shawver's on top. He has to ride him out, cut the riding time, and he had 1 second of riding time. And you just see this insane scramble. And again, if you've watched Dylan Shawver, you know how great of a scrambler he is, how quick he is, and DeVino just really showing off his abilities as well, getting back in on a shot, immediately chasing him down. Shawver doing a good job with the chest wrap right there to force the treetop position, and ultimately he ended up hanging on for this victory in tiebreakers. But then Tyler Knox got the win in the finals. It was a 3-3 match, came down to the final seconds. Knox actually got the takedown over Shawver, and he would really push the pace in the end there. And at that point, threw him to his back. So don't let the 10-3 score really throw you off as, wow, he dominated him. No, it was 3-3 with about 10 seconds left, got the takedown, and he happened to just put Shawver to his back as he went into desperation mode right there. So 133 was wild. And I said it before, I think Knox and Shawver is the type of match that you might see at NCAAs, where maybe that's a blood round match, maybe it's a quarterfinal match, however it matches up, or maybe it's a medal round match when you get to Saturday. It's tough to say it's going to be a national title match because, there's so many other variables with all the other guys in the country. But Tyler Knox definitely stood out to me at Midlands over the weekend. And, of course, Shawver had a good performance as well. Just sticking with some of the other Rutgers results for my New Jersey folks. Joey Oliveri also took second at 141, lost to CJ Composto from Penn. I really love Composto. I've broadcasted a handful of Penn matches over the last few years. Composto's a really sound wrestler. A bit of a clash of styles right there between him and Oliveri. 4-1 sudden victory. Composto got that win, but for Oliveri, for the Rutgers fans out there and for the New Jersey faithful, this is a kid who is now he's getting really, really close. If he can knock off, that's a top 12 guy in Composto. You knock off a guy like that, and maybe some other guys he's had some close matches with this year. You're looking at Oliveri as a legitimate podium threat when you get to Philadelphia in March. So I'm really excited to see how he goes against Big Ten competition, where he's going to stack up amongst, again, overall a stacked weight class. And of course, you have two Big Ten guys at this weight that are, they were in the finals last year and that could very well get to the finals again this year. If they get by Andrew Ramirez of Northern Colorado, and that's Bo Bartlett of Penn State, of course, the defending champion, Jesse Mendez of Ohio State. Shane Cartagena-Walsh took second as well for the Scarlet Knights at 184. Got to the finals. He lost to Reese Heller of Pitt. So did Brian Soldano, who finished fourth. Actually, I think he medically forfeited out in the third place match, if memory serves me correct. I'm going to have to double check that. But Soldano took him on in the semifinals. Kind of a wild affair again. At that point, Soldano got caught on his back a little bit, trying to, roll through, hit his patented move, and he got kind of let Heller get in on his legs a little bit. So that was a 16-7 major decision right there. But he beat Cartagena-Walsh 9-6. Heller did in the final. So a good battle from Cartagena-Walsh, and that obviously that weight class is going to be still up for debate for the Scarlet Knights. I'm not sure what they're going to do here in the Big Ten season right here, because Heller, common opponent, beat both of them. Soldano and Cartagena-Walsh, I believe, have not wrestled each other in an official capacity when it comes to one of these tournaments. And yeah, Soldano did win. He managed to get by Bush in the consolation semis, got the third place match with that 12-11 win. And yes, he did medically forfeit to Maximus Hale of Penn. So Soldano didn't wrestle that final match. Would have liked to see him wrestle against Hale, but Hale's a very talented kid also from Penn. But overall, I don't think a decision is going to be made just quite yet for the Scarlet Knights. That's a big one. Okay, that is a big one right there, considering Soldano's a two-time NCAA qualifier. Cartagena-Walsh is currently ranked by Intermat. Soldano's still ranked, I believe, by Flow Wrestling. So you go back and forth with that. Who is their guy? That's I would say the biggest lineup question right now for the Scarlet Knights, because you still have a battle at 149 and 165 as well. But I think you might see Andy Clark be the guy at 149 for the Scarlet Knights, considering Michael Chetta was a little dinged up, weighed in, and wrestled at 157 in this tournament. I think he went 1-2, if not 2-2, or something along those lines in this tournament. So interesting decision to see what goes on there. Because Connor Hare, the true freshman, also at 157, still ranked, had an okay tournament. And then 165, neither Anthony White nor Andrew Barbosa placed at Midlands over the weekend. White is still ranked by Intermat, seems to be the guy moving forward. Barbosa might be in line for that red shirt, but Barbosa is really good. We've seen him knock off a top 20 guy against NC State earlier this year. So maybe a decision to still be made right there. Other placements, Yaroslav Slavakuski took third, got upset by Jacob Bullock of Indiana. How about Indiana for a second, by the way, because they had Tyler Lillard win 165, also knocked off Hunter Garvin of Stanford, in which, despite doing that, Stanford still won the team title at Midlands. It just goes to show you how good Stanford was at Midlands. And then, again, Indiana had a great showing as well. Bullock made the final. Slavakuski did bounce back, though, and did finish in third place. So he did end his tournament with a win. Jackson Turley got fifth place. Then John Posnanski lost in the semifinals. I believe he's a little bit dinged up with his elbow. He hurt it going into the semifinals. He dropped the semifinal match, and he medically forfeited out to 6. So no need to really get him extra matches if he doesn't need them right there. Get him to recover a little bit and get ready for the Big Ten wrestling season. So I will give you the heads up of what Rutgers has next. That's going to be a dual meet next week, January 10th. They're at Indiana, as I just mentioned, Indiana. So that'll be a big one. Might be able to preview that one for you guys as they go to Bloomington. And they're going to be at Ohio State on the 12th. They'll return home January 19th and January 24th for Wisconsin and Penn State. And then actually January 26th. So 3 dual meets in a row over the span of 2 weeks. That's Illinois, the January 26th. That'll be for Rutgers, Wisconsin, Penn State, Illinois on the 19th, 24th, and 26th, all at Jersey Mike's Arena. So that's upcoming for the Scarlet Knights. Some other standout performances from Midlands. Let's see. We had 149. Jay Navis, again, just goes to show you with Stanford how good they've been so far this year. 13-1, 18-3, 4-0, 8-3. Beat Wazlewski of Penn. So, again, Penn had a great showing as well. 157. We had Lovett win. Johnny Lovett from Central Michigan won in tiebreakers, and he beat DJ McGee from George Mason. So 157 kind of got a little bit out of whack as well. And I mentioned before Tyler Lillard. So let's talk about Tyler Lillard for a second, as Indiana, again, had a lot of good performances. So you go back to Lillard's matches. He got a pin. He won in sudden victory in the second match. And then he gets to the semifinals is when he faces Hunter Garvin, beats him in sudden victory 6-3. And Garvin was the number 1 seed from Stanford, expected to win this bracket. And here comes Lillard, just 3 straight sudden victory matches, by the way, because he beat Rutgers' Anthony White in the quarterfinals. So he had 3 straight sudden victory wins. It just goes to show you the relentlessness of these Indiana wrestlers, and what a great job Angel Escobedo is doing. So I look at that, I'm like, that's a guy who might be a podium contender when it's all said and done. That is a guy to me who, you put him in a tournament format, he can go on a run. So I like what I saw out of Tyler Lillard. Then he won 7-3 over Max Mayfield of Northwestern, the 2 seed. He had back-to-back pins and a tech fall. He won by injury default in the semifinals as well. So Mayfield was on a tear in that one. Lillard shut him down. Really like to see that. 174. He had Lorenzo Norman again. Stanford just dominating tech, fall, tech, 3-1 decision, and then he beat Nick Incontrera from Penn, who's the number 1 seed. So you got 2 podium contenders right there in Nick Incontrera and Lorenzo Norman right there in the finals, but Norman got the victory. We mentioned 184, won by Heller from Pitt. Max Stout, speaking of Pitt guys, won 197. He kind of ran through the bracket a little bit early on as well. He even beat, Luke Cochran of Central Michigan in the quarters. Let's see. And then he ended up beating Gabe Sollers from Indiana. Again, Indiana, because that's the one who beat John Poznansky from Rutgers in the semifinals. That was a 9-5 decision. Again, I think Poz was a little bit banged up. Didn't look like himself in total, and that might have limited him a little bit, but otherwise a big win there from Sollers against the guy who has had his number in the past. So big win from Sollers. And again, Indiana just has this lineup kind of rolling now. This is going to be a very, very competitive Hoosiers team in Big Ten conference matches. And then, of course, Stout got the win. And then a heavyweight, Josh Heinzelman, okay, the lone Michigan champion. Again, Michigan didn't really send many guys out there, but he is their new heavyweight. Okay, he's finally donning the Michigan singlet after he transferred in. He got a bye in the first round, tech fall. And then he beat Jacob Bullock, who knocked off Yaroslav Slavakuski in the semifinals. He beat him 5-4. So me personally, I would have loved to see Slavakuski wrestle Heinzelman, because that is a Big Ten match that I don't think we're actually going to see until we're not going to see until the Big Ten tournament at minimum, because Rutgers does not wrestle Michigan this year. As far as Yar getting a rematch, it looks like he will, as long as both projected guys go out next Friday when Rutgers goes to Bloomington to wrestle Indiana. So I would like to see them run that match back. But again, it's a big win by Josh Heinzelman. So another Michigan heavyweight who's going to be a contender here for the podium, it looks like. So he was a 2 seed coming in. You like to see that. So those are some of the standouts I thought from Midlands. And again, I wanted to show you that wild scramble, because that was one of the crazier things I saw over the weekend, which was Dylan Shawver's scramble with Ben Davino. And again, watch out for Ben Davino. I know we didn't see too many of the big guns like Ohio State and Michigan at Midlands, but Davino really stood out. He's going to be a problem down the line. And Josh Heinzelman, I think, really showed off that, this is why he got the Michigan bump, so to speak. So I like what I saw out of him in his, de facto debut for the Wolverines right there, with 3 straight tech falls when he actually did wrestle. And then, of course, got the title with a win over Bullock 5-4 in the finals. So that's pretty much all, what happened over at Midlands. I spent most of my time the weekend looking at Midlands. I know there's some standout performances from the Soldier Salute, which I'll touch on real quick, actually. I think the biggest piece of news was how Iowa's lineup is going to look at. I know Minnesota had a couple guys that, fell early. I believe Isaiah Salazar fell short of a title, by the way, and he's going to be, a contender for higher up on the podium when it comes to March. I'm looking at the 174, 184 for Iowa. Looks like Patrick Kennedy's back in right now over Nelson Brands. We'll see how that ends up shaking out. I think the drama-filled or the big talking point from the Soldier Salute regarding Iowa's lineup was obviously Angelo Ferrari, who was the champion. He's the one who took the medical forfeit against his teammate Gabe Arnold, who is the, I guess, presumed starter right now, 184, the guy who's going to be, wrestling for the Hawkeyes at that weight. But hey, they were supposed to wrestle each other in the finals. Maybe that's a decision where it's not necessary, so they just let Arnold medical forfeit, give Ferrari the Soldier Salute title. So now gets a gold medal this year, maybe still stays in red shirt, but I don't know. I think if Ferrari is going to wrestle at that high of a level, if you think he actually has the ability to beat out Arnold right away, and if you're Iowa, if you're going to be chasing team points, I think you really got to look at, because again, I'm going to scream from the rooftops until we have a dual meet championship. You got to look at, for these guys in March, who's going to score you points at the national tournament. Ferrari's very exciting as a freshman right now, his first year on campus. Is he good enough to be the guy and make a podium run right away like his brother did when he was at Oklahoma State as a freshman and won the national title? I guess it remains to be seen. He's looked really good so far. We've seen him in some dual action. I forget how many events he has left, but I think he could still do a couple more attached before they have to make a decision to redshirt him or burn it and put him in the lineup. But that'll be a very interesting decision to me to see what Iowa ends up doing between Ferrari and Arnold. I would love to see Ferrari get in there a little bit more if he has the ability to get in there with a couple more events. I think he has a lot of potential to really explode, but so does Arnold. We saw Arnold, bump up last year when he was in red shirt and he knocked off a couple guys. So Arnold, two very talented guys, a bit of a logjam right there for Iowa at those two weights. So we'll see how that shakes out. The other thing, the Bo Bassett update, not much on it other than his remaining schools are Virginia Tech, Michigan, Ohio State, Penn State, Rutgers, Iowa State, Pitt, Johnstown, Iowa, and Oklahoma State. And of course, everyone's going to say, well, Pitt, Johnstown, D2 team just has him on there. But hey, they're still on there. He's done with all his visits, where he had official visits to Iowa, Penn State, Ohio State, Virginia Tech, Oklahoma State. They had the national high school duels out in Stillwater, so Oklahoma State got a bit of an extra look at him as well. Bishop McCourt is absolutely raking through their opponents right now, kind of buzzsawing through them for a little bit. Bo Bassett's got one more visit scheduled, at least as of right now, in terms of official visits. That'll be at Rutgers, January 24th to the 26th, as I alluded to before. That's when they're hosting Penn State on that Friday and Illinois on that Sunday. So he'll check out Piscataway. Of course, I'll be up there. So, hey, maybe I'll run into him up there. But he has 9 schools remaining. I don't know when he's going to eliminate another school, get down to his top 8. We're kind of waiting on it because his last update was on December 12th. So we're waiting on, maybe through the holidays. Now that it's the new year, maybe we see one later this week or beginning next week as we get back into the swing of things. Maybe that's when he'll decide, or maybe he'll start eliminating him after he takes his visit to Rutgers in a few weeks. And then once we get to February, you'll start seeing, okay, the top 8, 7, 6, 5, and so on and so forth. But that's pretty much it on him right now. He's been dominant this year. So is Bishop McCourt. I know Melvin Miller just knocked off Alessio Parenton. That was a big match as of late in terms of the big high school matches. And, Parenton's obviously a Cornell commit, 2-time state champion from Del Barton, coming up, looking for his 3rd title this year. Melvin Miller, only a sophomore. He's going to be a really sought-after recruit, maybe the most sought-after recruit in the class of 2027. But, Bishop McCourt, absolutely loaded. Absolutely loaded. That's pretty much it as far as the holiday wrestling stuff is concerned. Southern Scuffle is coming up. Midlands and Soldier Salute are in the books. We're just getting ready for dual meet season. I'm ready for dual meet season. I hope you guys are too. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Rutgers assistant coach Steve Minich and family. Prayers out to them. Their daughter Mercedes was involved in an accident. She just, she needs all the prayers and well wishes that you can give. I believe, she underwent surgery, an emergency surgery, as of Thursday morning. If memory serves me correct, they're kind of going through the process right now. There's a GoFundMe, which you can find. Rutgers Wrestling did put it out. They put it out on their social media, on their Instagram and Twitter. So be sure, if you can, go to their GoFundMe page. And if you can assist the Minnich family in any way possible, I encourage you to do that. Mercedes Strong is the tagline now, if you want to search that as well, but any help would be appreciated. And of course, Steve Minnich has been great to me, and his face, it seems like a tremendous family man, and I can only imagine what they're going through right now. So any prayers and thoughts would be appreciated to Coach Minnich and his family, and of course, for his daughter Mercedes, who's going through very, very, very scary situation. So hopefully they come out very positively on the other side of this, hopefully sooner rather than later. Okay. All right. That's going to do it for me. Again, just wanted to get you through the holidays. Hope you're back and, ready to get after it here in this new year. We are too at On3 Wrestling. Of course, now that we're in the full swing of things when it comes to dual meets and we're back to, our regular scheduled programming, of course. We're going to have a couple guests on in the coming weeks and months as we lead up to NCAAs. We'll have some dual previews for you, some reactions, of course. We'll have it all here at On3 and at On3 Wrestling. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at NickCosko59. Check out our content at on3.com. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on Midlands, Soldier Salute, anything else wrestling related, whatever you want to throw my way. And we will see you next time. A little dual action coming up. Big Ten season just around the corner, folks. On3 Wrestling. We'll see you next time.